Guys, today what we're going to be doing is looking at lesson 3.1b, slope-intercept form. As a quick reminder, slope-intercept form is the form of y equals mx plus b. And as we know, m is my slope, and you guys have learned this on the graph as your rise over run. This is going to be in the equation my m value. We learn how to solve for slope given 2 points with the change in y over change in x. As a quick reminder, that's y1 minus y2 all over x1 minus x2, so on and so forth. And what we're going to also look at now is my b value. This is my y-intercept. We looked at this yesterday. The y-intercept is when your x value is 0, whatever your y value is, it's your y-intercept. And on a graph, it's the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So if it's something like this, this is my b value, this is my y-intercept. It's my initial value. So let's go ahead and look at this now. In Module 2, we learned that one way to represent a linear equation is in slope-intercept form. It's y equals mx plus b. Slope-intercept form of a linear equation is y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope or the rate of change, and b what represents the y-intercept or the initial value or starting point. We can write the equation for a linear relationship in slope-intercept form by finding the slope, which is the m value, and the y-intercept, which is the b value, and substituting those values into y equals mx plus b. So what that is saying, guys, is I might give you two things. I might give you the slope, I might just tell you what it is, and I might tell you what the b value is, or y-intercept. And what you need to do is come up with the equation y equals mx plus b. Now I want you to realize that this equation will always have your y and your x, just y and x. But what we're going to do is plug in the slope, which is your m, and your b, which is the y-intercept. So a final answer in today's lesson will look something like y equals negative 2/3 minus 4, where I have my m value and I have my b value, and it'll also have my x value. And I forgot to write. But what I do want you to realize is this y and these x are variables. You're just going to leave it looking like that. All right, so now what I want to do, it says write an equation of each line in slope-intercept form. Remember, guys, we're writing these in y equals mx plus b, and I'm trying to find my slope and my y-intercept. Those are the two things we're plugging in. We're plugging in my slope and the y-intercept. And as a quick reminder, whenever you have an x value of 0, this y value is your y-intercept. So let's go and look at this. It says the slope of a line is 3, and it has a y-intercept of 0, 4. Well, good news, it tells us what my slope is. It's 3, that's the m value, that's the coefficient of x, and it tells us what my b value is, which is this 4. So my equation would be y equals 3x, because it has a slope / rate of change of 3, and I am adding 4 to it. That's my starting value. Okay? Now looking at the next one, we're trying to trick you because it says it has a slope of negative 2. That's easy enough, but then it has a y-intercept of 0. So that means my equation would look like y equals negative 2x plus 0. Now we don't need to ever have a plus or a minus of 0, so it's going to just be y equals negative 2x for my final answer there. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the next one. I actually want to have you guys try this next one on your own, C, and try D. D is a tricky one, but I want you to try C and D, and then once you're done trying it, watch the video, finish watching the video to see if you guys got it right. All right, guys, you should have an answer for both of these now. So I have y equals negative 4/3 x and a y-intercept of negative 1. Remember, this is my m, this is my b value, it's my y-intercept. So the equation would look like in y equals mx plus b. All I need to do is substitute my m and my b value. So y equals negative 4/3 x plus my b value, which is negative 1. I would accept plus a negative 1, or you could write y equals negative 4/3 x minus 1. This version's a little bit more simplified, but this is acceptable. Now letter D is a tricky one. It has a slope of 0. So when you have a slope of 0, you just have a horizontal line going left and right, Mine's a little off. Let me redraw that better. You're going to have a horizontal line going left and right, which means it has a rise of 0 and it goes over a number. Okay, so it only has a run. So that means my slope is 0. If I plug this in now, I would have the equation of y equals 0x plus your b value, plus your y value. That is this 5. Well, 0 times x is just 0 plus 5, and 0 plus 5 is 5. And that is my answer right there. All right, so write each question in slope-intercept form. State the values of your m and your y-intercept. So now it's going a little bit more trickier. Now, I'm going to give you these guys questions in a bunch of different forms, and I need you to write these in slope-intercept form. As a reminder, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. I want you to notice that y is all by itself. So while I have y equals mx plus b here, there's this positive 3 in front of it. So in order to get rid of that, I need to divide each and every term by 3. So this gives me y equals. Now what I would want you guys to do is leave it in fraction simplified form. Don't turn this into like a decimal or anything. So y equals 2/3 x minus 3. Now looking at this, I'm just going to move this y equals mx plus b right below it. And all I'm always looking for is what is my m value, which is the number attached to the x, and what is my b value, the number being added or subtracted. So therefore, my m value here is 2/3, and my my y-intercept, or my b value, is -3. Or you could write that as a point as 0, -3. So let's go ahead and look at the next one. The next one's really tricky because remember, I'm trying to get this in y equals mx plus b form. That's what slope-intercept form is called, which means I need to get this y all by itself. So the first thing that I would do is I would subtract 4x onto both sides. This would give me -1/3 y is equal to -4x minus 2. Remember, I can't combine these because this has an x and this 2 does not. So the next thing what I'm going to do is I want to get rid of this -1/3. So the opposite of -1/3 is positive 3. Positive. I take that back. Is -3. Now a negative times a negative is a positive, and and a 3 times 1/3 just cancels. So if I wrote it like this, these would cancel, and the negatives would cancel to give me just y. I also need to multiply every term by -3. So this would give me 12x plus 6. Now remember, I just look at the y equals mx plus b, and I just need to figure out my m value, which is my slope, and my b value, which is the number I'm either adding or subtracting. So that means my slope is 12, and my y-intercept is 6. All right, so now let's go and look at this one. I have a lot of stuff here. So the first thing, remember, I'm trying to get this in slope-intercept form. The first thing I'm going to do is do a fraction buster, which means I look at my denominators and I need to multiply it by the LCM. The least common multiple of 3 and 6 is 6. And I got that by just looking at my multiplication tables of 3 and 6. And when I look at these, I look at what is the first number that they have in common, and it is 6. So if I multiply each term by 6, remember terms are separated by plus, minus, and equal signs. I'm just going to multiply straight across. 6 times 2 is 12 over 3 is 4x. 6 times 1 is 6 over 6 is just 1, so I'm going to have a plus y. So 1 times y is just y. That's going to equal 12. Now remember, I'm trying to always get the y by itself, so only thing I need to do is subtract 4x onto both sides. And this would give me y is equal to -4x plus 12. So now I look at my slope. The slope is the number attached to x, which is the -4. And my y-intercept would be my starting value, which is 12. All right. So now, looking at this one, same idea. I have a lot to do. I need to try to get y by itself. So before I do any of that, I'm going to distribute this 5 to both terms. I'm going to distribute this 2 to everything inside the parentheses as well. This will give me 5x minus 15y is equal to 2x plus 6. Then I'm going to minus 5x onto both sides to get negative 15y is equal to negative 3x plus 6. Then I'm going to divide everything by negative 15. And now I need to reduce these. So you don't want to leave it just looking like that. So I have y equals a negative divided by a negative is a positive 3 over 15x, and a positive divided by a negative is a minus 6 over 15. Now I'm almost done. I'm still looking at the 3/5, and I notice that they can both be divided by 3. I'm reducing right here. So if I divide them both by 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 15 divided by 3 is 5 minus. Now I'm going to reduce these also by 3. I notice they're both divisible by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. And remember, this 1/5 is my coefficient of x, so therefore it is my slope. And this negative 2, that's what I'm subtracting, is my y-intercept. So I'm going to put minus 2/5 there. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the next part. It says find the slope and y-intercept of the equation of a given situation. So looking at this now, I'm going to have a word problem, and I need to figure out what my slope is and what my starting value, and based off that, what is my equation. So it says a Basset Hound, which is a type of dog, weighs 100 pounds. It starts off weighing 100 pounds. It is on a special diet to lose 4 pounds per month. Oops. So it's going to lose 4 pounds per month. So in order to do that, sorry, let me go ahead and fix this really quick. There we go. So it's going to lose 4 pounds per month. So let's go ahead and look at that. That's what the rate of change is. That's what it's changing by per pound. So I know that this Basset Hound starts off weighing 100 pounds. So it starts off at 100 pounds. And I know it's going to lose 4 pounds per month. So as a reminder, we have y equals mx plus b, and what the b value starts with is your starting point. So in this instance, the starting point here was 100. The dog weighed 100 pounds. And your m value is your rate of change, your slope. Well, how much weight is my dog losing per month? That's what it's changing. And it's changing by 4 pounds a month. So that means my m value is negative 4 because the dog is losing 4 pounds per month, and it starts off with 100 pounds. So therefore, the equation would look like this. Y, which is the total weight, is equal to the 4 pounds the dog loses per month plus the 100 pounds it starts with. Or, in orange, it could also be written like this. The total weight is the 100 pounds minus the 4 pounds the dog loses per month. Based off this word problem, this makes a little bit more sense written this way, but this is the y equals mx plus b. So it's 100% correct either way you write it. I just want you to know that, okay? So now let's look at this one. It says your cell phone plan has a flat fee. That means no matter what, you're paying $30 per month. And it says for each text you send, so in the old plans, you got charged for every text you sent. Cost 10 cents. If X represents the number of text and the Y represents your total monthly bill, let's write an equation. So it says, what does my total bill equal? Well, my total bill is equal to 10 cents I get charged. Well, when do I get charged 10 cents? I get charged 10 cents per text. But no matter what I do, I have an initial fee. I have a starting fee of $30 just to access the phone lines, okay? So knowing that, that's my equation. My total bill is 10 cents per text plus $30 for the phone, for the flat fee. So the rate of change, my bill can increase at 10 cents per month, but no matter what, I'm always going to start off owing $30 per month. So now what we're going to do is find the slope of the looking at the table values and the y-intercept. So looking at this, guys, what we're always going to do is use the table values And there's two things we can do here. We can find the rate of change. That's how much am I increasing by? Well, from 6 to 8, I increased by 2, and from 1 to 2, I increased by 1. And if I looked at my change in y over change in x, I increased by 2 and went over 1. That was my slope. Or what you can do, which I know some of my students like doing, is they like choosing 2 points. You can choose any 2 points to find slope, and that will be equivalent to your rate of change. So if I look at the points of 2, 8, and I look at the point of 3, 10, and I did the change in y over change in x, so like this is my x1, y1, and this is x2, y2, my equation would look like 10 minus 8 all over 3 minus 2, which would give me 2 over 1, the same as the rate of change. So that's my slope is 2. Now the trickier part, which we haven't spent a whole lot of time in, is when I look at a table, I need to know what is my y-intercept when looking at this table. And the only way you can tell is when your x value is 0, what is your y value? This is the y-intercept. So let's look at this. If I start at 3, I go down 1 to get to 2. I go down 1 to get to 1. And if I go down 1 again, I get to 0. So if I follow the same pattern on this side, I go down 2 to get to 8, down 2 to get to 6, and I would go down 2 again to get to 4. So that's my b value. Remember, when your x is 0, your y value is your y-intercept. So that would be 0, 4. So now my equation is just y equals 2x plus a positive 4. Remember, this is your rate of change, this is your slope, and this is your b value, your y-intercept. All right, just a few more now. So this one's a tad trickier, but let's go ahead and look at this now. Same idea, guys. We have a change in y over change in x. My students tend to like just choosing 2 points, so I want to just choose 1 and -3 and 3 and -5. So let's go ahead and write these out separately. I have 1, -3, 3, -5, and it's going to be my x, it's going to be my y, it's going to be my x, it's going to be my y. So when I plug these in, I'm going to have 3 minus 1. This will be my x. Oh, I messed up. Hold on. I was doing change in x over change in y. All right, so then x2, y2. So if I have -5 minus a -3, so that's the y1 minus y2, and then I have 3 minus 1, this would give me -5, take away a -3, this turns to a positive. So -5 plus 3 is -2, and then 3 minus 1 is positive 2. And so -2 all over positive 2 simplifies to -1. So therefore my slope is -1. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out what my y value, my y-intercept is. Now if you look at this, guys, you see right here I go down by 2. This goes up by 2. This goes down by 2. This goes up by 2. But my slope is -1. So therefore, if this goes down by 1 to 2, this goes up by 1 to -4. And if this goes down by 1, I get to 1. This goes up by 1 to -3, which means right here, which is my y-intercept, if I go down by 1, which is 0, this is going to go up by 1 to -2. And I was getting this down by 1, up by 1 by my slope. Remember, my slope is change in y over change in x, and it's going up, down 1 to the right 1. Or you can write positive 1 over -1, you'll get the same answer. So right here, guys, is my y-intercept, which is the -2. Therefore, my equation now is y equals -1x minus 2. All right. So let's go ahead now and find the equation for each graph. So when I look at the graph, there's 2 things that I need to do, is find the slope and my b value. Remember, this b value is just your y-intercept, and my y-intercept, this is my y-axis going up and down. Let me go and highlight that really quickly. This is my y-axis going up and down. Wherever my blue line crosses that is my is my y-intercept. So this is my b value, which is up 1, 2. So up positive 2. And my slope is just my rise over run. So let's go ahead and choose a different color. Let's choose pink. If I go up 1, 2, and now I go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I went up 2 over 6, this reduces to 1/3. So now all I do that is plug that into y equals mx plus b. So I get y equals 1/3 x plus 2. And that's your answer. All right, so let's go ahead and look at number 11 now. Same idea. What I'm trying to do is find my y-intercept. This is 0, 0. I go up 1, 2, 3. Right there's my y-intercept, which means that's my b value. And as I just counted, that was up 1, 2, and 3. So that went up 3 spots. So it's a positive 3. Now what I want to do is find my y-intercept. Excuse me. Now I'm going to find my slope, which is just my rise over run. So I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just went down 5 spots. I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so then I go to the right 5 spots. So if I wrote rise over run, it'd be -5 over +5, which simplifies to -1. So then my equation would be y equals -x or -1x plus 3. So y equals -1x plus 3. Either one's 100% correct. That negative represents the -1, or you could just write out -1 in front of the x. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this one now. I start with my y-intercept. Where does my blue line cross my y-axis? And that's on this point right here. Just because it's on the point doesn't really matter. We still count. It goes down 1, 2, 3. So since it's negative, I'd write -3. And then I just do my rise over run and simplify it. So I start here. I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I just went up 10. And then I go to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope is up 10 over 4, which reduces to 5 over 2. So looking at my equation now, I just plug those in. Y equals 5 over 2, x minus 3. And we draw a happy face if you get it right. Yay. All right, now this is one of those special case scenarios. Now, since it's a special case, I'm going to make sure that you guys, I'm going to give you ones like this on the test because they're the tricky ones. So right here, let's start with my y-intercept. My y-intercept is -10. Now I'm going to do my rise over run. My rise is 0, and I go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I went up 0 over 8, which reduces to just 0. So now I need to write my equation. So it would be y equals 0x minus 10. 0 times any number is just 0, and 0 minus 10 is -10. So that's your equation. So whenever you have a horizontal line, it's just y equals, and then whatever the y-intercept is, -10. That's your done. Then you're done. I want you to notice this is 0, -10, 1, -10, 2, -10, 3, -10. It doesn't matter. It's always just -10. So now looking at one like this is going to be another special case. And since they're special cases, I always give you these on your test. So let's start with your slope. I go up 1 over 0, up 1 over 0, up 1 over 0. If I go up 1 over 0, any number over 0 is undefined. Doesn't have a slope. So then I look at my b value. Well, that is the y-intercept. Does this line ever cross the y-intercept? And no, it doesn't. So it's none. It doesn't have one. Now the equation of this line is, if we looked at these points, this is 1, 0. This is 2, 0. This is 3, 0. Excuse me, I take that back. So right here is 1, 0. This is 1, 1, 2, I can't think right now. My apologies. One more time. Let's try this again. When I look at these points, this point right here is 1, 0. This is 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. And I hope you guys notice that those points, what is always the same? So one more time, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. It's the x value. The x value always stays the same, and the x value is always 1. Okay? I know I messed up explaining that last part, but hopefully it makes sense. And the last one in today's lesson is this one. All we need to do is find the rise over run. And remember, if we wrote our name on it, this slope is going down. So I'm going to start by finding the slope. I just go down 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I have a slope of negative 2 over 8, that reduces to negative 1 over 4. And then I look at my y-intercept, which is just up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that value is 0, 6, which means that's my b value. It's my y-intercept. So the equation of this line would be y equals my m value, which is the slope, which is negative 1/4 x. And then I'm going to add my b value, which is positive 6. All right, guys, after this, you can go ahead and start your homework. If you have any questions, please let me know.